All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. So we're gonna look at three on this one. I want to take a look at KULR, I want to take a look at RR, and then BBAI if I've got the time on this one. All right, and so many technical things to talk about on KULR, from breaking all five and just flying to bouncing on the eight moving average like a champion. Bunch of different things, and I'm excited for. Right, I think one thing I want to take a step back and at least address, comment on. Look, a lot of people disagreed with me about my views on the compliance notice and the compliance news that came out. I love the fact that people disagree with me. I'm telling you, I'm never here pretending to know it all and blah, 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 right? But not only did people disagree, but they actually put their reasonings behind it. And a lot of people thought the same thing about it. So I'm going to at least talk about that a little bit. And truth be told, it actually has me kind of thinking I was probably a little bit wrong. But I love that, right? That's what I love about this place. All right, and again, a bunch of technical stuff to talk about. RR, big candle yesterday, basically looking like it's trying to confirm the 200 moving average, trying to confirm the break of all. Big doji, really important resistance line. All right, as I zoom out and zoom out and zoom out, we basically have been under this line for most of the year, right? Last time we were over it was in early January, and again, early January is most of this stock's history, right? So this is a very critical line right here. If it breaks, my. But right now we can't underestimate that line right there, all right? And then BBAI, we talked about this one on the Discord. You know, I was watching this one not that long ago, and again, the same story with what we just talked about. Look at this $4.30 line. Instead of that 1 year line that we just talked about with RR, this is actually a 2 year resistance. The last time we were over this line very well was January of 2023 instead of 2024, like RR, right? So I think the cool story with the last two is just those. When you look, when you're over all the moving averages, you got to start drawing the lines yourself, right? I always give respect to these lines. When you've got a line that hasn't been touched for so many years, I think you can start to say, that might be a pretty well drawn line, right? So that's the cool story on those two. Overall, actually, before I do my intro, the big thing going on right now, not NASDAQ, let's do NASDAQ composite. The big thing that's going on right now is this moving average just attempt and really big day. Take a look in the box over there, okay? The high of the day was 20,000 $31.13. That was the close and the high of the day. That was to the penny the same number, right? The green number on top, and then the third line, the box that says high. NASDAQ with a big close. I always say a normal day is about zero point 0.3, not 1.3, right? So big strong candle. It looked like this was just going to be a doji. That was a lot stronger than I really thought it was going to be. All right. I said this number on Discord, 20,004. That's the number I'm looking for. You can see I said that this morning, right? By the time I showed the screenshot, we were still under 20,000 too. I'm looking for 20,040 to break on the NASDAQ. We are less than $9 away from it, right? And again, the close of the day candle was so strong. The important thing is confirmation still, okay? Look, this Friday candle does not close over the 20. This Monday candle gets us over the 20. This Tuesday today gets us over the 8. We need that next candle to confirm, all right? I do not want to drop back down to 19,930. I want to break that $9 difference, right? Like that's what I'm hunting for. Get me into a little bit more, and all of a sudden I'm thinking all-time highs. Again, the big thing I said was as long as we're over the golden line, it's still good. I'm a little bit surprised we didn't come all the way down to the 50, right? One of my guesses was we were going to come down to 19,000. We only came that way, right? So beautiful, beautiful recovery. And again, it's all about confirmation on the way down and on the way up, right? That was a bad candle. That's not confirmation. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. I need one more. Just like we can't over assume here, we can't over assume there, right? So give me that one more. NASDAQ will determine a lot of what these three tech stocks do, all right? So a little bit longer of an opening thought right there, but before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There's a bunch. I'll probably delete a couple, but we do have our horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so thankful for it, all right? So KULR, so much going on right now. The one thing I want to do, let me zoom out a little bit. Do I have any lines up? I don't. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do is delete all of these lines. There are just way too many lines. And at this point, sorry to zoom out the wrong way, most of the moving averages really are catching it. I think the only one I'll probably redraw is that 260 line right there. Let's just draw that just to have it. But again, even that line, yeah, I think it was 261, 263 is fine. Even that line looks like it's about to get the 8 moving average hit, right? The other line I want to just quickly redraw is that one vertical line you might have saw if you zoomed out. So again, on the daily, I'm going to zoom in really quickly. My apologies. So look, you never want to see dashes on the daily. That's super shady. Around this June moment is where it becomes a little more candle. You can also see the volume difference actually changes in that late June, right? So to me, I'm going to do it basically on this day. It looks like it's probably this one, right? But this is the IPO moment right there. That's our IPO line right there. We're obviously already over it, but those are the only 2 lines I'm going to draw for now. And obviously we'll do a couple more as we go a little further along in this analysis. All right. Before I give you a couple more technical thoughts, let me quickly talk about the KULR compliance note, right? So that happened on my last video. I really quickly went over it. I very much disregarded it. I think that's how you say it, disregarded it. I personally, I've never used the compliance like that. That's never been an important buy sell factor to me. You know what I mean? A good amount of people disagreed, and I think the most educated reason for it, and really one that I think makes me kind of question my thought a little bit is, hey, a NASDAQ compliant stock has the ability to get fund manager attention. And end of the day, that's a really important sentence because basically you're saying 2 things to me. You're saying big volume, and you're saying much more money than any of us will ever control in the market with our buy and sell clicks, right? And that's a hard thing to disagree with in my eyes. You know what I mean? So I'm not quite sure if I'm willing to blanket remove that from my personal rules. But hey, I at least really had to stop and think when I saw so many different people kind of say the same thing in their own different way. You know what I mean? So I think my favorite part about this channel, whether it's the technical thoughts or just my like basic human opinions, hey, if you ever disagree with them and you have better ones, drop it in the comment. Not even just to me. You have no idea how many people read the comments. It's actually wild to me. You know what I mean? Generally, I assume I'm going to be the only only one that thumbs up a comment, and there's already two or three by the time I've gotten to it. So, sad tangent, wrong tangent. Sorry. Let's get into the technicals. All right, and again, you hear me say the rhyme all the time, and I'm here trying to make things sound simple for a reason. If you break all five up, you will fly. If you lose all five down, you will die. All right, and this has seen it so many different times, right? Up here, we were trying to get over it. All of a sudden, we lose all five and die, right? We try but couldn't. All of a sudden things started to get different, and this is what that looks like, right? You try, you support bounce, and all of a sudden you're riding the 8 moving average like a champion, right? Big volume, right? And a big thing. So let me just say before I do, obviously that's a big day on the 25th, right? You're pushing 400 million plus shares on this single day, probably close to, yeah, look at that, 470, right? Almost 500. Obviously, this is the next level volume that will bring that kind of gap up and probably started a lot of the attention and this and that, right? I'm zooming in to past that date, right? I'm going to zoom in. All of a sudden, this is the more realistic volume. All right, and I'm liking a couple things. If you've been watching the KULR videos during this doji window, and I'll talk about that window a little bit more, I was really asking for 50 million, maybe 70 million shares. These last few days have destroyed my expectations, and obviously in a good way, right? And all of a sudden we make that big move that was beautiful, right? Even these last couple days, though they were under that 50-ish number, look, we weren't anywhere where we were in these doji windows, right? We've been living at or above the 50-day line that entire week plus uptrend, right? And that volume is a beautiful thing. I realize we're dropping volume, and that's a little odd to me to see basically the opposite slope, right? That goes down, this goes up. That generally shouldn't happen, in all honesty. But hey, you hear me say it, right? I love these moving averages for a reason. And there are some things we pay more attention to, some things we pay enough attention to, and when the conditions are right and there's just some things we plain just ignore, right? But at the moment, a lot has happened since we broke that 50-50 moment, right? We've basically 2x since the 50-50 moment, and a lot of it had to do with these dojis. Look, you rarely see 3 in a row, let alone a week straight, let alone 2 weeks straight. And again, I was showing Soundhound, right? Obviously, this is a $20 stock, and I'm not here trying to like make that sort of assumption, right? But we saw 5 dojis in a row. We saw basically that same stretch of 8, if I'm not mistaken, right there, right? From there, it's a bunch of moving averages, and that's a different kind of thing, right? But let me just zoom in and show it, right? Up, I had it. That right there and that right there, it was just very reminiscent to me of oops, sorry, of that doji window right there, right? And again, a doji just means uncertainty. Eventually we'll see the truth, and you just ride the wave up. Or if it went the other way, we would have just avoided the avalanche down, right? So a bunch of amazing things happening right here. That's a nice candle over resistance. Doji don't count. That's a really nice answer right there. It is. And I'm not sure what to look at right now. That's a really high 88 RSI, and normally I get worried, right? But I flashed it quickly in the opening thoughts. NASDAQ had a big day. NASDAQ, when you look in the box over there, the high of the day was to the penny the close of the day. The green number on top is the exact same as the high, the third line right there, right? So NASDAQ over 8 in the 20, NASDAQ never going down to the 50, using the 20 back over the, like, there's so many technical things going on. I do need one more. I need just a little bit more confirmation, right? Because this got over the 20, this got over the 8, the next one will confirm them, right? Because this kind of confirms that, you can say, but what's confirming this saying over the 8, right? That's why I do want that one more. It's a lot of that making me wonder if I gotta ignore the 88 and just love over the moving averages, love the MACD, and just really love holding the 50. Right? This is a short week. Short weeks are supposed to be loser days. You know what I mean? And hey, I see it dropping after hours. Is it not? Get out of here. Wait, it looks like it should be. I see the green right there. I don't know why it's not dropping. Interesting. Nonetheless, these should be loser. Damn, I've talked 14 minutes on this one. I think you get the thoughts right there. Let's look at the weekly right now. I think this is probably the most important chart right here. All right. We are trying to get over the 200 moving average. All right. First time since 2022, arguably 2021 back here. Right. That was a big week last week. This is not a confirmation yet. We still have a little bit more, right? So I actually do need a little bit more. That's a crazy high RSI, but that's such a good MACD divergence, right? And again, we're not even done with the full week of trading, and we're already over the 50-day or the 50-week line, right? So this is interesting. This is nice. This is interesting. This is a little worrisome. Again, if NASDAQ does well, most of those this is nice become a lot nicer because hey, there is a golden cross right there. We did golden cross the 20 on the 100, and it seems like by next week or maybe 2 weeks, we're probably going to golden cross the 50 to the 100, right? So there are a bunch of things to look at here, right? And again, if NASDAQ does the job, all of the tech stocks will keep doing well, KULR inclusive. You know what I mean? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. I'm going to group these next two because I didn't expect to start this 16 minutes into the video. I apologize. I'm not feeling 100%. I think I rambled a little bit more. I get into the tech talk and the chart talk and all that. The main commonality, look, these are not technically the same sector, right? richtech robotic, this is a robotic stock, right? And then BBAI is, nope, not, what does this look like? BBAG, hey, if it can get over 46, it actually might be interesting. That's a little bit low volume, but hey, sometimes pudgy finger typos find some good tickers, all right? BBAI, this one is actually just more of a straight AI play, all right? And I think the commonality in these two, as I zoom out, is a resistance line that I manually drew that has been either a year or longer since we've been over it, all right? With BBAI, you can even say this was a little bit of a pump and dump over it, and the last time we were over it was actually during the IPO. There's different ways of arguing this 430 line. I think at the minimum I can say, hey, it's been at least 2 years since we've been over this line. Literally, you can see the black nothing right here, right? From there, sorry, I don't know who's calling me. 1 second. That's my wife. We're going to hang up on her. It happens. Looking at RR on the daily, basically the same story, just a little bit less, right? This line right here, the $2.08 line, definitely a manually drawn line, but hey, we've been under it for so long, right? So that's kind of the commonality between these two. 100%, they're both over all 5 moving averages, right? You can see that with RR. You can see that with BBAI. BBAI has actually started to break all 5 and fly as well, right? We were down at sub 2, already kissed 4 plus, kind of knocking on the door back of 4, right? So that's a beautiful fly of more than 2x right there, right? RR still trying to escape, and really we're coming into, like I said, this. The one thing I want to just mention on this one, so this is a phrase, I feel like I haven't said it in a good while, but the gap fill border. All right, that is by no means a educated phrase. I'm here to keep things simple, right? But sometimes it looks like, let me start over. There are certain lines, there are certain resistances, there are certain setups, even with the lower indicators, where I look at them and I say to myself, oh, that's gonna break. There is nothing guaranteed, there's no crystal ball, but you know, I've seen enough setups and I've done this for a minute, and I believe when I look at something, it's gonna happen. If I'm wrong, I'm obviously ready to adjust and go on from there, right? But the gap fill borderline, The last candle that's good between down here and filling the gap all the way up here. This line at times is significantly harder to break than it should be. Look at this attempt right here, right? We were trying to get into a positive MACD with a nice green over red. The RSI wasn't even that high, it was only 74. I can't quite see volume because we're obviously at a lot higher point now, but it looked like it should have broken right there, but it didn't. Even this one right here, even like there were decent attempts at this line with decent setups, right? And lo and behold, it's been a year since we've been below it. That's a gap fill borderline. All right. I think this is an interesting candle because I say it all the time. When you get a doji near an important line, generally important is a computer generated moving average, right? But yeah, that's an important line right there. It's a year resistance, right? We should see the truth coming up. And I said it in the opening thoughts. This candle was a pretty good confirmation of trying to get over all the moving averages, right? You try, you use support, you confirm, and you should just take off and go, right? If NASDAQ does the job, if NASDAQ can continue, if NASDAQ all of a sudden recovers, if NASDAQ goes from this 55 RSI all the way back up to the 88 that it was at before, if it's ready to keep staying above and making new golden lines, right? Like that's gonna be some oh my goodness stuff. You know what I mean? When we look at BBAI, it's actually a little bit of the same story, right? I'm zooming out, I'm zooming out, I'm zooming out right now, right? That obviously doesn't happen. This is one good candle. That is not confirmation. And all of a sudden we lost that line like a hot knife through butter, right? And I think I'm gonna just push the point one more time. We actually haven't very well gotten over this line since we came near it on the IPO moment. You know what I mean? So, because again, even here, just lost it like a hot knife through butter, right? And actually, all the way down there and then some, right? So, that's a hard line. I remember thinking right here. I remember the video I made, and I remember saying it in the Discord. And I'm a lot louder about my mistakes than my good calls, right? I thought BBAI was going to fly right there. I thought we used the 20 well. I thought that 8 looked good. I thought we were going to confirm. We had decent indicators. It's the same story, right? There are moments where it just looks like it's going to happen. This lined up a little bit more to that NASDAQ drop. You can see it was that 17th, 18th, 19th, right? On BBAI, you can kind of say, right? The 17th, that was the 18th and the 19th right there. Nonetheless, right? We tried, we failed, we bounced. We're trying a little bit better this time, right? We're obviously a lot higher than that one, right? So it seems like this wants to keep going. I'm liking the MACD and the RSI. It's a lot healthier of an RSI too, sitting at 62, right? And that's also a very interesting big break of two moving averages, doji on an important line, and more importantly, that one, nice confirmation above. Personally, it looks like BBAI is a little bit fresher, and it looks like it's a little bit more ready to keep going than RR. Again, if NASDAQ does the job, they both probably should do the job as well. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. The last thing I'm going to say on BBAI, for the second time now, I've seen BBAI connected to a more important stock. I saw a headline comparing BBAI to Verizon. Again, I think that's very, very offensive to Verizon, a very well established company. But hey, if a small little ticker like BBAI, and I say that with love and no disrespect, can get connected to a big, well known, well established name like Verizon, believe me, that's really good for BBAI. And it wasn't that long ago. I think it was probably on this candle or maybe on this candle where they actually compared BBAI to Palantir, which again, I thought was very disrespectful to Palantir, but probably a beautiful thing for BBAI, right? So really, it's all about the resistance lines I drew on the daily. Real quick on the weeklies, right? RR is trying to break them all. This has not been around for a lot more than 50 weeks, right? This was the 50th week. We still need a bunch more before we get to the 100th week, right? So get over all three and fly is what this is trying to do. That's a nice divergence, actually, right? So this is a nice little stable volume growth right there, outline taking out the outlier right there. get me over that 208 is the big story on the daily and the big story on the weekly, right? When we look at BBAI, again, we like the daily. The weekly has already started, right? There is no 200 moving average. This has not been a full live stock for 200 weeks. I will say that's a fairly long blue line. I'm obviously not going to count all these weeks right here, right? But I think it might not be too long from now that we get the 200 moving average formed. So just kind of watch for that. But I mean, there's some golden crosses definitely happening. There are beautiful writing of the 8MA, and that's again a very healthy RSI on the daily and on the weekly, right? I wish volume stayed like that, but hey, taking those outliers aside, that's also some nice stable volume growth right there. So a lot to like on these last two. They're just coming up on very, very tight resistances. All right. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so, so much.